evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. We have a really full house tonight. Very nice. We have a lot of guests tonight. They're from MUM. Please warmly welcome our guests. I'm Cindy Trainer. I'm the Sergeant at Arms. And it's my duty to open the meeting and welcome everyone to Golden Speakers. And now I will turn the lectern over to our club president. Please warmly welcome Rhonda Whitaker.
It's lovely to see all the new faces here tonight. I know that you were brought here in a van, you couldn't get away. I'm very happy that you're here. It's my mission to open and close the meetings. My role as president is to guide the club, and I would like to tell you what our club mission is. We provide a positive and supportive learning environment in which members are empowered to learn communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. Tonight, we have international folks here from Karen Aoki's class.
Yes, from Mongolia, from Nepal, from Ethiopia, from Cameroon, and Eritrea, sorry.
Iran as well.
And Iran and Pakistan.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yo!
Are there any guests that would like to stand up and say why they came tonight? You don't have to, but if you would like to stand up and introduce yourself, you're welcome to do that. Have any volunteers?
So I'm Karen Aoki, and I'm the MBA Program Administrator at MUM. And Andy Bargerstock recommended that I bring students here so they would have more chance to speak English and be more comfortable being in front of an audience presenting themselves. So I brought some students.
Excellent. They'll have a chance to do that tonight if they want to.
Okay,
We
great.
have a section of table topics. It's like you're at home in the kitchen talking to your family or your friends, and you discuss a topic. And they're short topics. We'll be coming to that in just a moment, so people can stand up if they would like to talk. At this point, I'm going to turn the meeting over to our chosen Toastmaster of the evening, Mr. Jyoti Raj.
Welcome. My name is Jyoti Raj Adhikari. I'm the Toastmaster tonight. My responsibility is to see the meeting is conducted within the time framework provided. I have to introduce the theme of the day, theme of the meeting. We have the theme. Today's theme is laughter. Say that, that's laughter. Laughter is the shortest distance between two people. So theme is laughter. Laughter is the shortest distance between two people. It is not only the shortest distance, but it is said it is the best medicine. So it can heal your pain, your stress, your sorrow, your sadness, anything. If you feel worried, you just start laughing. Say that. you heal your pain. You cannot, at the same time, you cannot be stressed and laugh. But you may ask me, how can I laugh when I'm stressed, I'm worried? That may be the question. But if you fake laughing, if you fake a laugh, then also you will produce that chemical. I don't know the name of the chemical, but that chemical is produced in your body, and then you start feeling happy. That's how it works. So remember that when you feel sad, just do ha 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 for a minute, and you will feel happy. So first, I was saying that I would like to introduce the role player of the day. But first, I will introduce our timer, Karen Aoki. Karen, can you please tell what is your role tonight?
both the speakers. I'm Karen Aoki. My job tonight is to time everything that happens. And in particular, I'll be timing the table topics and their prepared speeches, which must be completed in a certain amount of time. So when you see green, that means you have achieved your target goal for the time. Amber means you're getting close to when you need to wrap up. And red means you need to stop or wrap up in the next 30 seconds. For table topics, we have, well, it's actually a different format tonight. Diane will be leading table topics, and she'll give each person 1 minute to speak. So when I give you the green light, it means the next person has to go. And then when the last person talks, I'll give a red light after a minute, and then you must stop. For prepared speeches, we have two. Will be giving a 5 to 7 minute talk. At 5 minutes, I'll give a green light. At 6 minutes, I'll give a yellow. And at 7 minutes, I'll give a red light. Seth will be giving a talk at 13 to 15 minutes. So at 13, I'll show the green light and you get the idea. I'll give a report at the end. Okay, the other portion that I'll be timing are the speech evaluators, and they get 2 to 3 minutes to speak.
Our next role player is Carol Negro. She's our art counter. Karen, can you please tell us what's your role?
Toastmasters fellow golden speakers and esteemed guests. I'm the off counter, and my job is to, when different speakers are speaking, is to count when they feel a hesitation, so they use a word like or as or or ah, or start scratching their head, or they repeat a phrase, or they just click their tongue, or just do anything to pause for time to find their thought. And that's my job. So I'm with my pen in hand, ready to snap.
Our other role player is grammarian Ria Singh. Ria, can you please come front and tell us? We have to present the word of the day. Or there he is. Yeah, go ahead.
Am I actually giving the word now, or am I
Yes.
just?
Yeah, you're giving the word now. You have to write it there. Did you
Okay.
write it?
Yeah. Okay. So my job or role tonight is that grammarian. I'll be listening to the language that's used by the members during the meeting and making a note of any exceptionally good or bad uses of the language. I'll give a brief report at the end of the meeting about what I've heard and observed. And I'll be listening for the use of the word of the day and report at the end also about how many times different people have used it, incorporated it into their speech.
Okay, say what it is.
So the word for tonight is chortle. And this is in keeping with the theme, which is laughter. Chortle, which rhymes with quartal, means to laugh with pleasant satisfaction or to chuckle gleefully.
Ha!
It was coined in 1871 by Lewis Carroll in Through the Looking Glass, and it's probably a blend of chuckle and snort. So if you're having a very gleeful laugh that kind of this, where you start snorting a little whatever, that would be a true chortle.
We have some more role players in the meeting, but you'll be hearing them later in the meeting. So our next part of the meeting is table topics. I would like to welcome our table topic master, Dan Denbo.
Good evening, everyone, guests, viewers at home. I am changing the way we usually do table topics, especially for the guests. Sometimes it's just good to change things up. I will need about, let's see, what time is it? I'll probably need 5 people. What table topics goes to what, 5 after? And table topics is when you are given a question or a thought and you speak extemporaneously. Boom, like that. You've got to come up with a minute speech. However, usually you're allowed 2 minutes. Tonight you're only getting a minute. When you see that light turn on, the green, the next speaker has to start. And I'll tell you what we're doing. Dan, did you?
You have till 7 after.
7 after. Okay. I'm going to take 6 people. So 6 people, this is a little different. It's going to involve a little creativity, some humor, laughter. Guests are welcome. And you're all going to come up at once. So if you raise your hand, I'm going to pick 6 people. 6 brave people. And I hate to tell you, but if you don't volunteer, I'll pick on you. Okay, so let's see. All right, let's have Karen. And your name?
Kashif.
Kashif, come on up. Annette. Jean. Lewis. And yes, and your name? Okay. Say it again. Gilberto. So if you would just line up right here in front of the table. I'm going to push this back. I'm going to go right out. I've never done this before. And the idea is inspired by a game I played with a 3-year-old when I was on vacation this summer.
Did you win?
I don't remember. Here we go. Do not look at the cards, okay? Please. Do not look at them. We're basically going to tell a story. And when the minute is up, when they see that green light go on, you have to stop. But you can't look at your card. When the minute is up for Gilberto, you'll see the green light, you'll stop. Your part of the story is over. You have to turn and look at your card and pick up the story from where he left off.
Can you read what's on the card to the audience?
Oh, and that's another point. To make it user-friendly for the audience, if you can show the audience the card, and then if you need to glance at it now and again, please do. Yeah, that's another. See, when I played the game with the child, we were just sitting at a table and flipping the card. But it was so much fun, I thought, there's got to be a way I can do this at tabletop. So here we go.
So does our story have to relate to the card?
Yes, and to what, by the end, you two, it's got to flow. We want to have a story. You're beginning the story, and Lewis is ending the story.
So can I see the card when you speak?
No, you can't, because when I played with a 3-year-old, we couldn't. However, you do have 30 seconds to think about what you're going to say. The minute you start speaking, that's when the timer starts timing. So you have to kind of imagine 30 seconds if you want some time to think. So no peeking. You ready? And I'm going to get out of the way. All right, and you're going to start. How about show, you look, and then you can show us. Can you see? No, darn. What's that? No, don't look inside. These are from my home. I'm not sure what's in. When you play cards with Lewis, you don't look inside. Maybe you could just, you get the gist of it?
Some lake with a fire next to it.
Out in the woods. All right, good luck. We'll see how this goes.
Can it be about anything at all?
That's the timing of the story.
Basically, but tie it in as much color.
I was coming down from the mountain looking for food, and luckily my fireplace was still on, because it took me so long to find the food that I wanted to cook before actually going to sleep. As you can see, I don't have any tents or anything. I was going to sleep right on the ground. Then I cooked my rabbits. I got 3 rabbits, but it took me a long time to get them. And then but it was delicious. I still had some leftover from from the day before. You can see the lake there. I went fishing, so I got some fish there. And I was, by 9 o'clock, I was just standing there. And then I looked up and you can see the auroras here, northern lights. So I lay down on the ground and started looking up, and there were.
Ha!
Oh.
I used to have a dog that called Puppy. So that dog was very much keen to be playing with any flying insects, like a bee, but he always liked to have an ambition to be a flying bird instead of walking dog or running dog. So there was a day I went to Amiro's and with my dog. So all the day long he was just playing with the insects and looking at the birds. And I don't know, at the night he thought to make a wish to be a bird. So he went through his wish, and the wish he made was to fly like a bird. But as he was playing all the day long with the insects, flying insects, so the wish turns into some other way, so he become a flying dog.
Yo! At the lake. It's a lady with a donkey, with a lady with a fur coat. I was by the side of the lake, had helped finish off some of the fish, and I did look overhead and I saw this dog go flying by. I didn't know if I was dreaming or not, but it sounds like I wasn't dreaming. He was going by. I decided this lake was a little too strange for me. I needed to go shopping. So I crawled back up the trail from the lake, got to my car, unlocked the door, got in, and went to the mall. And there I found a really cool coat with a very nice faux fur collar on it that I thought this looked stunning. But I felt I needed something else with me. What better thing than an animal? A lot of these fashionable ladies, they carry little dogs and things. I didn't want to do that. So I decided to get myself a donkey. Oh. This is a party animal.
So I decided to get on the donkey rather than just shop all day because it was such a beautiful day. So I got on the donkey and I'm riding along and I thought, I'm going to go back to that campground because that was very peaceful and I don't want to shop anymore. So I got on the donkey and I'm riding along and I hear a, Karen! And I go, what was that? And then I look down and I hear, Karen again. And it's this little teeny mouse. And he goes, and he says, Karen, I know it's your birthday. And he goes, and I go, how did you know that? And he goes, I know everything. I'm a enlightened mouse. So I said, well, hop up. So I grabbed the little mouse and put him on my donkey, and we rode off, and it started to rain. So I wasn't sure what to do after that.
Yeah.
Oh, heaven.
You deserve the kind of birthday. Birthday fun, rather. It just keeps going and going all day long and going and going.
I'm not really a donkey person. And mice, like, eek, I get on the chair when I see a mouse. I'm a dog person, and I really love doxies. These are all my doxies, and we go to the lake many times, and they love to swim. Well, a couple of them don't swim too well, but they love to swim. And the problem is they think my fur coat is their bed. And so it kind of got all messed up, especially lying in the dirt because I didn't have a tent. But anyway, we had a great time. You want to hear that again? I want to hear that again. There we go. You're all chortling. So anyway, this is Doxy, Moxie, Loxy, Foxy, Hoxie, Moxie. Thank you. You knew Moxie. You met Moxie. Moxie's a very friendly dog. And, well, I guess you'll have to wait till next time to hear the other names.
Oh yeah, that was out of place. Really good. Great job.
Well, I was rolling around in my bed thinking, I'm at a campsite, and then all of a sudden there's a hamster and a donkey and dachshunds all over the place. Like, what is going on? I must have eaten something really bad last night for dinner before going to bed. And then all of a sudden I got this weird tribunal in front of me, and they're judging my dream, and they're trying to figure out who was the best animal in that dream. The donkey, the hamster, the dachshunds. And I'm thinking, wow, who was the best there? And the bee, and the flying dog bee. And I'm thinking, wow, who am I going to vote for? And I just decided that, you know what? This was one big happy family in my dream. I love them all, and we're all winners. Please back these cards before you look inside of them.
My mind. Wow, that was fabulous.
Oh, that was Thank you. Fantastic. The next thing on the agenda is to actually vote, even though Lewis was about it's all one and everyone won. We are going to vote for the, right? We should vote?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, so stand up if you were in this table topic story. All right, so we have Karen, you did the hamster, the one that wanted, the mouse that wanted to party. Why don't you say your name in the card? Say your name in the card.
Roberto, and the card was the fireplace in
The first
the
one.
lake.
Okay,
Mine was a bee dog,
the bee dog, and your name again?
Kashif.
Kashif. And Annette?
Annette and Loxy, Moxie.
Right, okay.
Fancy dog.
Mine was the shopping trip with the donkey.
My name is Lewis, and mine were the three people sitting at the bar drinking. Judges.
So please rip off your little paper and rip off the table topic section and just write the first name
Yeah, I'll do.
and then fold it and we'll collect it. And that ends our,
Right here.
Does everyone have a ballot?
Rip it off. Best table topics. Best table topics. You rip that off.
That was the one.
to wrap up the table topic section, I'm going to invite Monty Condon up to evaluate the table topic. So thank you all.
So by now, most of you know, Toastmasters is about public speaking, getting comfortable in a group, talking to an audience. But the reason that we come together is also we want to improve. And part of that process is that each of our speeches, including table topics, there's an evaluator assigned. So my job is table topics evaluator. A little bit more complicated tonight. Thanks, Diane. It was a little different format. We had a whole group of people coming up, and you all shared stories. But let me get started, since I'm also being timed. Roberto. There you are, Roberto. I like how you, in the beginning, all the pressure was on you. You had to go first. You started the whole story. But you took some time in the beginning. Table topics allows you to take 30 seconds, and you took about that time to think over what you wanted to talk about. So I like how you did that. You also, your story about the campfire coming down from the mountain, fishing, you also talked about food a bit. Are you a little bit hungry tonight? But I like how you ended when you started talking about the aurora, and you sort of laid down, you're looking at the sky. I couldn't tell if it was the northern lights or the sun was setting, but it seemed like a perfect way to end the day. So you ended your story on a good note. My only advice for you would be maybe talk a little bit louder. Project not just over here, but also to your whole audience. Mr. Tan Pants, Cashin? Cashin. I didn't get your name at first, so I have you down as Tan Pants. Well, you had a great opening. You had a great laugh. It was quite a chortle.
Thank you.
And you also, what I liked about your story was how at the end, you tied it to the flying dog. I couldn't quite see the picture, but the way that you were talking about your dog, and when you ended with the flying dog was a bit funny for me. I laughed. My advice to you is that maybe you didn't quite hear the instructions, but try to tie it to the first story.
Yeah.
So, you didn't quite do that. Gene, you incorporated the previous stories into your story, so you sort of picked up where everyone left off. You also had, I liked your ending. The shopping with the donkey. The visual I had was it was in your purse. Donkey in your purse. It's pretty good. Let's see. Karen, you took the donkey story and you ran. Like when you first opened up, right away you took the previous story, you went into it. You had vocal variety as you were doing the hamster voice. I like that. Draws people in when you change your voice. My only advice to you was that also if you could maybe you'd speak a little bit louder. Annette, you had a great prop.
Yeah, I did.
You had the dancing dog prop. You made good use of it. You used your body language to show your dancing. I like how you named the dogs. You just went down the line. That was actually pretty good.
I'm glad my time ran out because I'm really
Great utilization of your prop. Lewis, you tied it all together. And because it was all a group effort, I liked how you did that. And you referenced all the previous stories, and you gave appreciation to everyone. Thank you.
Now we move to the prepared speeches part, where our members prepare speeches from a certain manuals to be attend a certain level in Toastmasters. You have speaking manual where you do topic by topic. Our first speaker is Will Burns tonight. And I would like to welcome Louis Denbom to read his objectives and introduce our speaker tonight.
Yo! I have the pleasure of evaluating Will Burns tonight. When Will was a young boy, a couple weeks ago, his father had to travel during the work week. On the weekends, however, father and son would often take long walks together while the elder regaled his junior with stories of ancient and modern civilizations, glorious cultures, and leaders with bold visions and a burning drive to carry them out. Will himself had a small part on the international stage when he deployed with the U.S. Army to Iraq in 2004. Will understands that many of us find history to be a baffling array of dates, players, and details. But in the next 5 minutes, He will outline 4 lessons from one of the great history minds of the 20th century. And you can then use that the next time you are confronted by the topic to avoid confusion and see the bigger picture. Will is giving speech number 8 from the Competent Communicator Manual, which is entitled, Getting Comfortable with Visual Aids. And the title of his speech is Charles A. Beard's 4 Lessons of History. Please welcome Will Burns.
Thank you, Lewis. In 1941, Reader's Digest approached Charles Austin Beard. By the age of 73, Charles Beard had amassed a reputation as one of the 2 most influential American historians of the early 20th century. The other being Frederick Jackson Turner, the father of the frontier thesis. He had a vast body of work spanning hundreds of papers in history and political science, and was also a prolific lecturer at Columbia University and an early innovator of the compilation, taking selected excerpts and essays and putting them into a single work for his students. Now, Reader's Digest asked him to do a short, if he could summarize, do a short history, a short book of the lessons of history. Beard replied he could do this in 4 sentences. These are his 4, slightly paraphrased by me.
Yeah.
Getting comfortable here. 1, whom the gods would destroy, they first drive mad with power. 2, the mills of the gods grind slowly, but they grind exceedingly small. 3, the bee fertilizes the flower it intends to rob. And 4, when it is dark enough, you can see the stars. 1, whom the gods would destroy, they first drive mad with power. This speaks to the rise and fall of empires. It was one of Beard's contemporaries, Arnold J. Toynbee, who observed that civilizations perish not from natural causes, but often from murder or suicide, often suicide. We can see this expressed in the collapse of the Spanish Empire in the late 17th century from internal decay and stagnation, or from the implosion of the French Empire under Napoleon, or the Third German Empire under Hitler. Moving on. The mills of the gods grind slowly, but they grind exceedingly small. This speaks to the transformative nature of history, where once a modern computer would be housed in a specially designed room. Today, that same power can be had in your hand. As a young boy going to school 20 years ago, I always used to walk with my head down because I was shy. Now everybody does it. The difference is they have a smartphone in their hand. 3, the bee fertilizes the flower it intends to rob. This expresses how the aims of history makers, whether they are successful or not, can have unforeseen or intended consequences. Columbus set out to find the East Indies. He just happened to run into a continent on the way. Ha! This set off a massive colonization, conquest, exploration, and trade undertaking from Europe throughout parts of the world. However, the Europeans were not alone. Between 1405 and 1433, the Ming Dynasty of China sent out 7 treasure fleets. These fleets arguably traveled as far as Africa, going through the East and South China Seas, through the Strait of Malacca, and into the Indian Ocean, and on. This made them the preeminent naval power, these voyages, and gave them a great boon in terms of trade and tribute from the outlying kingdoms. However, a shift in imperial favor in the Ming court between the naval-minded faction and the civil bureaucracy on the other side, the civil bureaucracy rising up and taking control, caused a reduction in the size of ships and the harborage allotted, and the attention of the Ming dynasty inward instead of outward, where it remained until the Europeans came knocking on their door. I would posit that perhaps things are worked out a little differently. There might be a different language being spoken in this room today. Forward. When it is dark enough, you can see the stars. Thank you.
We'll take 2 minutes to evaluate the speaker now. Welcome back. Our next speaker is Seth Braun. Please help me welcome Art Atkinson to read objective of Seth Braun's speech and introduce Seth Braun.
Thank you, Jyoti Raj. My role tonight is to introduce our next speaker, Seth Braun. Seth is a senior member of this club, professional speaker, and also a member of the Blue Zone leadership team. His project is project number 7 in the Competent Communicator series, which is tasking him to select a topic. It's called Research Your Topic. His objective is to present to us something that's not only relevant to us, but which requires presenting a great many facts and specific details supported by evidence, more than just his own opinions about things, evidence derived from other sources. So it's a complex presentation which is designed to inform us about a topic that's full of rich detail. His time is actually much longer than is given for many speeches. This is, I think, 13, 14, and 15 minutes. So a 13 to 15 minute speech. Please welcome Seth Braun.
Yo!
Ha! Let's see what's going on. Let's see. It worked. I just tested it before. Blue zones. What are blue zones?
Health zones, places to be healthy and active.
Health zones, places to be healthy and active. Anybody else want to guess blue zones?
Designated area where people live longer.
It is a designated area where people live longer. That is correct. There are 5 areas on the planet where people live measurably longer and healthier lives. Demographically confirmed, geographically defined, statistically proven, where people live longer and healthier than the rest of the planet. And in the next 15 minutes, you're going to learn about how the blue zones were studied, analyzed, how we can apply that data to our lives, and then specifically what you can do to be involved with the Fairfield Blue Zones project, how it's good for you, how it's good for your family, how it's good for your community, and for our future. There is some technical activity happening here. Is there a remote? Yeah, it's coming. Okay, great. I got involved with the Blue Zones in a circuitous, serendipitous, and kind of magical way. In Boulder, Colorado, I had a practice as a health and nutrition coach in the most competitive market in the country. A lot of people that I saw were already very healthy. And I began to think about what really creates health. For some people, you can give them a diet or an exercise program, but for most people, that doesn't work. So what really creates health? So I decided I'm going to take people to one of the blue zones, which is Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica. And I'd read about this concept and I started to engage in it. And do we have a remote that works now? We should. Okay, let's try it. Thank you. And that's how I first heard of the blue zones. When I moved to Fairfield 5 years ago, it was in the back of my mind, but it wasn't a prominent fixture of my life. Then I saw that Fairfield was beginning to become a Blue Zones certified city. So why is Fairfield becoming a Blue Zone certified city? Well, because Terry Branstad, the governor of Iowa, wants Iowa to be the healthiest state in America. Now, for those of you who haven't lived in America a long time, that's kind of humorous. In fact, some chortle would be appropriate. And yet, that's the challenge. That is the... I forget what I'm doing here with this remote now.
Another challenge.
What am I using to advance here? Which one of these?
That's the right button.
This one right here?
Portion of that button.
This one? Bottom portion.
Maybe the battery's gonna leak.
All right. Can you advance it for me? Iowa was selected as a test state for the Blue Zones Institute by our governor and by the Healthy State Initiative. This is the cornerstone for the Iowa Healthiest State Initiative to implement these blue zones, and we've chosen 10 communities. Fairfield is one of just 10, and it's one of only 5 communities that were selected under 10,000. Advance the next slide. So where are these blue zones? There are Sardinia, Italy, Ikaria, Greece, Okinawa, Japan, Loma Linda, California, and as I mentioned, the Nicoya Peninsula of Costa Rica. So what makes these places exceptional? Well, they have longer lives. Not only are their lives longer, they have decreased morbidity in the last years of life, meaning that they live long lives active and die. In the US, the final 3 years of life for the average American makes up 95% of all healthcare costs. Wow. The last 3 years of an American's life are generally full of sickness and ill health. Americans spend $1.2 billion, trillion, with a T, trillion, that's 1,000 billion, over $1 trillion a year on healthcare. 80% of that is spent on largely preventable healthcare issues. We've been aiming downstream, trying to treat the problem, when we should be aiming upstream at the cause of the problem. And according to the Danish Twin Health Study, we can see that if you track 2 twins, the majority of what determines our health and longevity is not our genetics, it's our lifestyle. It's what we eat, how we live, what we do, who we spend time with, if we have a sense of purpose. And all of this was cataloged by a guy named Dan Buettner, a National Geographic Fellow, author of the Blue Zones book, an adventurer, and he put together a panel of world-class researchers with a grant from National Geographic and the National Institute on Aging to put all this together, and with that, he came up with 9 core principles from these communities. This is Okinawa, Japan. This is a gentleman who's in his 80s, out there fishing. How do you live long, healthy, engaged lives? And he found these 9 principles. Principle number 1, move. Move your body.
Yeah, shake your body.
And but not in the way that we think. Most of these cultures don't exercise in the way that we think in America by going to the gym. They're just active. And there's something that's not happening on the slide. See, here's what happened. I have a Mac. And a Mac computer has a different kind of adapter than a PC. So I moved the presentation to the PC, and now we're missing important data on the slide. So we are missing things happening. You can just kind of, you can keep going forward. Keep going.
That's back to the beginning.
Yeah, keep going. Keep going. And keep going. Hey, look at that! Miracles! Next. So after moving naturally, putting movement into your day-to-day, that's walking or biking or doing chores or gardening, is having right outlook. And this really has to do with two things. One, having a sense of purpose. Healthy people have a sense of purpose. They have a reason to get up in the morning. And two, they find ways to relax, whether it's through meditation or having a glass of wine after work or playing games with your families, finding a way to turn off the stress response so that that cortisol is flushed and the body is not aging from that hormonal response. And of course, what you eat has a big impact. All these cultures tended to eat a very plant-heavy diet. They tended to eat a lot of things like sweet potatoes, leafy green vegetables, beans and legumes. Hara Hachibu is the Okinawan statement. It's a Confucian concept that said, don't overeat. Eat till you're 80% full. And most of these cultures drink alcohol in moderation, regularly. And finally, belong. Did you know that people who are involved with a religious organization and actually attend services regularly live 7 years longer than people who don't? It's time to get some churching up. Who you spend time with determines your health, maybe more than anything else. And this has been the big surprise for me in studying the blue zones, that those people that you spend time with determine your health almost more than anything else. If you take the 5 people that you're closest to, friends, family, the people you spend the most time with, and you calculate out the average of their body mass index, body fat percentage, muscle mass, these things, and you take the average of the 5 people you spend time with, it's going to be a mirror image of your own body mass index. And that reflects in every area of your life. The people who you spend time with influence more than anything else your habits, how you make choices, your attitudes, your beliefs, your behaviors. And so therefore, it affects your health, and healthy people prioritize family. This could be family of choice, people that become your family, or it could be your birth family. Having that connected, close-knit relationship. And next. So diets. Okay, this slide might not work. Basically, the slide's going to tell you that people who start a diet, only 9% of those people over a few years are going to stay on that diet. It's just going to drop. The first month you have a drop. After 3 months you have another drop. People don't stick with diets. They just don't do it. That's why the blue zones emphasize structuring a lifestyle, setting it up, making it easy, making the healthy choice the default choice. The next piece is medications. Did you know that only 30% of medication use stays constant after the doctor's prescribed it? So people start and it declines. People don't take their medications either. Your environment, your lifestyle needs to be set up for health. This is a picture of a PowerPoint. This can potentially add to your stress, or it can be a tool to share information with folks. So what this means is that the biggest determinant is your life radius. 80% of Americans spend the majority of their time in the same 20-mile radius for their whole life. If you change that 20-mile radius, you change that person's life. And the first step in changing that is policy. Is it easy and cheap to buy junk food because junk food is subsidized? In America, there's subsidies for corn production, which makes corn syrup cheap, which makes things sweetened with corn syrup cheap. If you look in a grocery store, you'll find cheap, sugary junk food because it's been subsidized. What if policy said vegetables are subsidized? Spinach, broccoli, cauliflower. Would we eat more vegetables? Would you eat more vegetables if they were cheaper?
Yes.
I definitely would. Built environment. This is the structure of your city. Are there bike lanes? Is it pedestrian friendly? How many of you have gone to a mall or a city with a lot of shopping and you try to walk around and you just don't? You just think, I can't because it's hard to get from place to place. There's cars. It's not safe. So built environment, making it easy for people to walk downtown, bike downtown, having community gardens, just make it easy for people to be active. And the next one is public spaces. Are your public spaces designed for health? Your schools. Do the schools have soda machines? Fairfield Public Schools have taken soda machines out as part of the Blue Zones initiative. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Yo! How about your social network? Do you have those people and those organizations like Toastmasters where you come together, you connect, you get a sense of community? Do you have walking groups? Any social group will do this. We talked about building design and finally becoming a Blue Zones community. As we wrap up, what can we do to become a Blue Zones community? This will be our last slide. And this is where your participation comes in. I have 12 pledges. And I'd like to invite as many of you as possible to fill this out at the end of the meeting. This allows us to meet one of our goals. You see, one of the goals to become a Blue Zone certified community is to get 20% of the population to sign a pledge that says, hey, I'll eat until I'm 80% full. I'll join a group that has purpose and community connection. I'll exercise, go for walks. I'll find a sense of purpose. And you know what? Nobody's selling you anything. We're all volunteer organization. We want to do this so that Fairfield can have another feather in the cap. So that Fairfield can become a Blue Zone certified community and begin to attract more attention as a leader in sustainability and health and consciousness research and entrepreneurship for small towns. And in closing, I'd like to invite you to make sure all these get filled out at the end of the meeting so that we can become a Blue Zone certified city. It's good for you, it's good for your family, it's good for our community, and good for our future. Mr. Toastmaster.
Now we'll take 2 minutes to evaluate Seth Brown for his speech. Now we'll vote for the best speaker. Are both of them qualified?
Yes.
The speakers were, what's the name?
Will and Seth.
Okay. The speakers were Will Burns and Seth Brown.
This would be best speaker on your little piece of paper. You just rip it off, and then you write down Seth.
Welcome back. We are now moving to the next part of the meeting. That is evaluation section, where our evaluate the speakers. Please welcome Jeff Sipley as the general evaluator to conduct this section.
All right, moving right along, we'll start our evaluation section of the meeting. I would like to call up Louis Denbaum to evaluate our first speaker, Will. Please welcome Louis.
club members, viewers at home, and especially Will. Will was working with the principle of visual aids. He was to select a speech subject that allows him to use 2 or more visual aids, select visual aids that are appropriate to his message and to the audience, and to display the visual aids with ease and confidence. Will, this was a wonderful speech. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm one of those people who actually didn't do very well in history in school because there was a bunch of facts, details, and it baffled me. So I really appreciated you showing me the beautiful side of how you can interpret and look at history. So a job well done there. Using the manual, it says, were the visual aids appropriate to the speech and the message? Absolutely. Many people make the mistake of putting up words that are just the same words they're going to say. But Will was brilliant. He actually put up pictures, things that I could look at and say, oh yeah, historical figures that went mad. And he had Napoleon and Hitler up there. Perfect use of photographs to reinforce your message. Were the visual aids clear and visible? All of them except for one. There was one visual aid that had the 4 topics, and the 4th one went down to the bottom, and from halfway back, it was not visible. The slide went too far down on the screen. But other than that, all the visual aids were clear, easy to take in. Did the speaker use the visual aids smoothly and with confidence, except for the one glitch when you had to hit the remote a few times? You did great. You just put that right into the speech. Okay. Things you did well also was that you came out in front, you had a loud voice, you clearly enunciated, you had eye contact with the audience. All that really lent itself to a wonderful speech. You had humor. I chortled when you said you were shy and you looked down, but now everyone's doing it with cell phones. That was great. What I think you could have done better is I didn't hear a proper conclusion. And I'm wondering if you possibly ran out of time. If you did, how I would have saved time is I would have gone into the speech just with Charles Beard, not with the 2 historians, because your speech is about Charles's 4 messages. I don't really need to hear about the other person, so you could have saved a little bit of time by just going right into Charles. I thought you did a fantastic job. I'm more interested in history than ever before because of your speech. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you for that evaluation. Now I'd like to bring up Mr. Art Atkinson to evaluate our second speaker set. Go!
Thanks, Jeff. Well, wow. If there was somebody who wasn't interested in the blue zone before, this speech was one to change that. Am I right? How many? Seth accomplished something which can be difficult. In the hands of somebody that is not skillful, this is just a detail-laden topic, and what is all this about, and why does it matter, and I'm living okay anyway. And what Seth accomplished with, Seth is a professional master speaker already, who's intent upon getting even better. And what he did was he gave us right at the outset, why am I talking to you about this? Because it applies to you. It benefits to you. And it benefits all of us as a community in our future. And he delivered that with vigor, with enthusiasm. He rolled very effectively with the technical difficulties, didn't he?
Yeah.
If there was an opportunity to demonstrate just composure and in the face of some technical difficulties, we just saw it. Was the topic well researched? Well, yes, it was well researched. Did he support his material with points from other authoritative sources? Well, first of all, the Dan Buettner Bible on the subject, he referred to it, he brought out the points, he told us where these blue zones around the world are. He gave us a real short, compact introduction to the topic if we didn't know anything about it before. He used the other research on the topic which has come out since the blue zone concept first appeared. He had slides which were well designed. They were not text heavy. They had text on them, but they had plenty of, as Louis just pointed out, pictures so that we could grasp the ideas that way. He had more than slides. He had the commitment forms. And if there was one thing that I thought of that could improve this set, would have been if you had gone over verbally, these are some of the things that we're looking for you to commit to. The 9-inch plate principle instead of the 12-inch plate or the 15-inch plate you see at a restaurant. The simple things that are there on the commitment form. I agree that I'll not have a television set in my bedroom, known to be a bad influence on getting good sleep. Was the speech effectively organized? He brought out many of the blue zone principles, made extensive use of body language and staging, the downstream and upstream. You know, it was very clear as he did that. He was using the space here to illustrate the principles. So what we saw was a masterful presentation that made use of slides, made use of extensive vocal variety, made use of extensive staging and move it gestures. A well done speech. If there was anything that I would have done to improve about it, it would have been to have one other kind of visual material besides slides and the commitment forms.
Thank you.
Maybe enunciate the 9.
Take just a brief moment to vote for best speaker, or evaluator, correct?
Yes. Only 2 qualified.
Oh.
Monty and Louis.
Going for Monty? Okay. All right, now we'll begin to conclude our meeting by hearing from our various role players and their reports of the evening. I would like to start with our timer. She's ready.
Okay, so our table topics was a little different format, so I don't really need to give the times. Everybody stuck to 1 minute. Speeches. Will, 5 minutes, 15 seconds. Seth, 15 minutes, 29 seconds, close call. Monty, 3 minutes, 20 seconds. Louis, 3 minutes, 10 seconds. And Art, 3 minutes, 58 seconds.
Nope.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll get our grammarian's report from Rhea.
As far as good or bad uses of language, I didn't really find any bad uses of language. There were a few colorful phrases that sort of jumped out at me, and a lot of those came in the table topics, partly maybe due to the topic led to that. Kashi?
Yeah,
Kashi. My dog became a flying dog. Jean, I saw this dog go flying by. Karen, this little mouse said, "It's your birthday." And Annette, it wasn't really words, it was her use of the card and the music in sort of appropriate places. Monty, Mr. Tan Pants. Will, when it's dark enough you can see the stars. And also the thing about the kids nowadays walking around with a smartphone, looking down because they have a smartphone in their hand. Steph, there were a couple words that I really liked. One was like serendipitous, but
circuitous.
Circuitous. And I like those two words in combination. And also, time to get some churching up. And 4 people use the word chortle: Annette, Monty, Seth, and Lewis. And that's my report for tonight.
Thank you for the report, Rhea. Now we'll hear from our awe counter. Karen.
The first several speakers, Cindy, Rod, and Rhonda were clean. Shoki had 1 Xerox and 1 full start. Karen was clean. Ray was clean. Diane was clean. Lewis, who appeared several times, had 1 1 1 so, and 2 ands. Jean had 2 so's. Annette had 1 2 so's. Karen had 1 like. Karen, the MBA team. I don't know your last name, sorry. 4 so's and 1 and. Kasha had 2 uhs, 1 2 likes, 4 so's, and 3 ands. Humberto had 3 uhs, 1 and 1 and. Monty was 1 1 so, 1 but, and 4 ands. Seth had difficulties because of his technical thing, so I'll give him a free ride. He was amazing recovery in all cases. And Art was 1 2 ands, and 1 false start.
Thank you for a very attentive report. Now, you have a joke for us, Stephanie?
Yes.
All right.
So I found some Australian jokes. I think I only have a minute, so I'll just do one. Because we're talking about health. A man and his wife were sitting in the living room, and he said to her, "Just so you know, I never want to live in a vegetative state, dependent on some machine and fluids from a bottle. If that ever happens, just pull the plug." His wife got up, unplugged the TV, threw out all his beer.
Thank you very much for that needed injection of humor. All right, so I'm serving as a general evaluator. So I'm going to take this moment in the agenda to make some general comments on the meeting, to make some further comments on each of the evaluators, and then wrap up with some club business. So first thing, I really want to thank the guests for being here. The presence of guests really makes this meeting a really live and enjoyable experience. So we really appreciate you co-creating this Toastmasters experience with us. Overall, I thought it was a wonderful meeting with an excellent theme. So thank you very much to the VP of Ed. Anytime we have a theme like this, it pretty much ensures a fun time. And again, the complimentary word of the day to play right into that. And frankly, I heard lots of chortles as we were going along. I think a lot of people had a great time and they expressed themselves with laughter. And really, the only criteria I care about when evaluating the meeting is if I had a good time. And I did. So I thought it was time well spent. Table topics, Diane, perfect job. I mean, just the infusion of creativity, getting everyone up here in a line. I mean, I haven't seen that done before. That really helps make the meeting fresh and keep everyone interested and engaged. So thank you very much for that. The first evaluator we heard from today was Monty, and you did a wonderful job. You were very well done, straight to the point, and you prefaced your evaluation with an explanation of what you're actually doing. So I hope that helps people follow along, especially the guests. Also, true to the theme of the meeting and the table topic subject, you injected humor and used humor pretty often to lighten up your talk. And yeah, you had you carefully detailed what everyone did and responded back to them, and then you had a suggestion for just about everyone on how they could improve, which is a vital part of being an evaluator. Lewis, again, you did a wonderful job. You spoke directly to Will and you personalized it, and that's really what I love to see is an evaluator really getting person to person, speaking directly to them and making it the stake that they have in their presentation. You listed plenty of things that Will did very well, And again, you gave a very specific suggestion, which was thorough and gave a recommendation for recourse. You didn't just identify the problem, you identified a room for improvement and then said how it could be made better, which is a very important distinction. Because that's our goal. We're not just identifying problems, we're giving you concrete solutions on how to increase and enhance your communication skills. So very well done, Lewis. Art, you had the challenging job of evaluating a very experienced speaker. Of course, you're up to it if anyone was. It was a longer talk, and you ended up kind of running low on time as you were speaking, so I wonder if that kind of has something to do with it. But again, what I really liked is you surveyed the audience when you first came up here, and that's really the best way you can tell is if the speaker accomplished their goal. That's where you're going to get the most important feedback is going directly to the audience member and seeing how the speech affected them. So I like that because, and that's the most important consideration of communication in my opinion, is the audience and how they feel from the talk. Other than that, you used the manual to adequately fleshed out everything that Seth accomplished in his speech and what he did well. And then as time was running out, you were able to squeak in a suggestion, which of course is very appreciated. So that, I guess, sums up the whole meeting as a whole. We're right on schedule. And another important point of business that, our club, we're always very interested in getting the Toastmasters brand out in front of people, of sharing this experience with anyone who wants the benefit of what we have to offer. And one of the tools we're trying to use and explore more is the use of Facebook. And just to get a gauge of audience members, how many people have a Facebook account that they use regularly? Okay, I think that's, I don't know, maybe 93% of people in the room. Okay, well, so yeah, Facebook is a great tool to get in front of people. And for our Facebook page, we're really trying to ramp up and provide content that it pretty much is sharing the Toastmasters experience. So there'll be a couple pictures from tonight's meeting that we'll share on our Facebook page. And I strongly encourage each and every one of you to look us up on the Facebook. It's Golden Speakers Toastmasters Club 7515. It comes up very easily if you just search Golden Speakers Toastmasters. Very good. Write this down. This is very important. Keep writing. Seriously. So write it down. Visit Facebook. And I would encourage you to like our page. And as you see some of our content, I would encourage you to like it. Of course, if you honestly like it, which hopefully you do. So that's just kind of our way on how we can grow the club and, again, share this experience of enhanced communication, personal growth, and leadership with as many people in the community as possible. And, of course, a great way to stay in touch. So that sums up my general evaluation. I'd like to turn it back over to our Toastmaster, Mr. Yoki Rajankar.
Now it's award time, so we'll give award to the speakers, evaluator, and the table topics. The first is the table topic, and a drum roll, please. Best table topic, Gene.
Shop till you drop, Gene.
Best evaluator. Monty.
Go!
Okay, best speaker. Best wrong.
Go!
Yeah!
Surprise!
I'd like to take this opportunity to say a few words. No, I'm just kidding.
Now I'd like to turn meeting to Karen Aoki, our president, for her closing comments.
Hey!
We've had a good time here tonight. I'd like to give our guests an opportunity to say something they appreciated about the meeting tonight, if anyone is willing to stand up and say your name and one thing that you actually enjoyed tonight. Do you have any volunteers? Yeah, okay.
Hi everybody, my name is Kashif. I am an MBA student at MUM, and it's a valuable opportunity to be here. And first of all, I would like to thank the Toastmaster team here for organizing such kind of event and being informed by our teacher, Karen Aoki. I would like to have a round of applause from our students for teacher Karen Aoki. And I would say about Karen, because I really love the way she always liked to have the opportunity for the students to learn something, because we are the English learners. So for us, it's today's experience was a very good experience to be here, because we learn how, especially from Seth, how you like, because we are being the MBA student, the business students, we always like to have the pressure of presenting our presentations, like in each and every block of our course. So I really like the way how to use myself during the speech, during the presentation, how to use your body language properly, and how to use the visual aids, and how to relate the history. That was very well done by Mr. Will. So overall, it was a very good experience for us to be here. Thank you.
You said a mouthful.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to offer something tonight? You don't have to come up front. You're welcome to if you want to. Yes?
See you later. I'm Joel. I'm an MBA student at MUM, and I just have one or two words. I had fun and I learned a lot, and I'm kind of motivated, not just to come here and speak, but to someday be able to evaluate and help other people improve their communication skills. Thank you so much.
We have time for a couple more people.
I'm going to start drinking red wine every night. Thank you.
Make sure to take the pledge and write it down.
Yes, get her a worksheet. All right.
So we'll keep living
Karen?
red wine every day.
Just want to thank all of you for having our students here. It was a lot of fun, and the atmosphere here is very relaxing, and you feel like laughing like this. So thank you for that.
We meet every Tuesday at 7:30 here. You're welcome to come back anytime. Thank you, Karen, for bringing the students. It's always wonderful to see so many different faces and so many different countries represented. It contributes to our international feeling here and helps expand our way of being and thinking. Helps us learn other cultures as well. Karen Aoki is a very good speaker on how to bridge the gap between different cultures. She's an MBA student.
PhD.
PhD.
Jyoti was a graduate of the program.
And Jyoti is a graduate of the MBA.
In accounting.
Let's give him a hand. And I want to thank Seth, particularly because of the knowledge that he brought to all of us tonight about the blue zone. You put it all in a nutshell for us and made it easy to digest. Very personal. Thank you. I would be glad to fill out a form if you would like to have. If you have one left over after everybody else has finished. Now, because we're going to be filling out forms and talking a little bit, I'm going to adjourn the meeting early tonight. I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting now until next Tuesday at 7:30. May I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion passes. We are adjourned.